Here with you from NFL Live, Herm Edwards, Merril, Hoge. I'm Wendy Nix as we continue with our divisional previews, starting with the NFC North. And Herm, let's start with the team that has a pretty good quarterback, just a few years removed from the Super Bowl, the Green Bay Packers.
Discount double check. And the first thing you better do if you're double checking him, you better protect him. 51 sacks last year. And what they've done, they've solidified this offensive line. They moved some players around. They also went out and got them two very good football players in the running back position, which I know you like. Lacey and obviously Jonathan Franklin.
I'll tell you this, though. I don't know how much Lacey's going to help him. He might eat himself out of the league before he starts.
That's okay. That's why
big he is.
That's why they have two.
That's why we have Merril Hoge.
Yes, and here again, and this is going to balance this offense, but also it's going to help their defense as far as defending the run. Because if you look at this team last year, remember that San Francisco game? Yeah. They haven't stopped those guys from running yet. But when you have running backs and you can practice running the football, which they will do, because Mike McCarthy said, hey, we want to become more balanced, we want to protect our quarterback. This team is sitting in pretty good shape again, Mo.
Well, speaking of a team that needs to protect their quarterback, and you touched on it with the Packers, the offensive line, that certainly can be said for the Chicago Bears and Jay Cutler, Merril.
You know what? When you look at the Chicago Bears and you look at the three phases that you have to have, or the three positions, you got Jay Cutler, you got Forte, you got Marshall. You have all areas of the football field you can attack with great skill players. The thing that has haunted the Chicago Bears for the last couple of years is an offensive line that hasn't been consistent. And I really don't care how great your skill set is. They can only get so good or be so powerful based on how those five guys up front work. So if the Bears have solidified that by their draft, by the free agencies they have brought in, this Chicago Bear offense has as a balanced offense and maybe one of the most complete factor backs in all of football, and Matt Forte, and he's healthy. They can be as dangerous and as lethal as his Green Bay Packers that he just talked about. So that is the ultimate weak link for the Chicago Bears. They strengthen that. Look out.
Look out. You want to talk about factor backs.
You talking about some double checking in Chicago?
They may triple check you.
Triple check. How about a factor back in Minnesota?
Woo! Number 28, you really like him, don't you? Boy, he is the tone setter. When he comes out of the locker room, he just sets the kind of the tone. Number 28. You know what has to set it? Beside the new uniforms, they have new uniforms, kind of change their apparel.
Well, you like that, huh?
In Minnesota, I'm still kind of mad at them because they don't play outside like the old Vikings used to. But let's get back to Christian Ponder. This is probably the most important thing. They've done some things to help him now. We know Rudolph, the tight end, is there. Greg Jennings, Green Bay Packers, all of a sudden he finds his way to Minnesota, along with Patterson, the fast receiver out of Tennessee. So now he's got some weapons. That's going to help, believe it or not, Adrian Peterson. But Christian Ponder has to be the guy. He's got to make sure that he can throw the ball down the field. He has some receivers now. He's going to have to be the guy that they thought they drafted. And if he can do that, his team's going to be pretty good.
Just a sidebar, at the ESPYs and the Jimmy V Foundation Golf Tournament, Greg Jennings was there. And I got a chance to talk to him, and he pulled me aside. He said, Merril, I'm going to tell you this. This Christian Ponder's better than people think. He goes, now listen, you come from Rogers, so I think he's got,
some perspective.
Yeah, of a guy, what he needs to look for. And he said, watch out here. He goes, I like
Watch
it.
out.
Goes,
well, we'll be watching.
I'm just sharing it from a guy who.
Good. That's good.
One of those players that.
I like that.
It's unsolicited. Those unsolicited things, to me, oftentimes, are much more important than you go, hey, what do you think about Christian Ponder?
Sure.
They tell you. Very unsolicited, but he really spoke highly of him, where he thinks he goes this year.
All right. Well, I'm going to solicit this. How about the Detroit Lions?
Uh-oh, look out.
Okay. Every team has Green Bay thinks they've drafted a factor back, right? Mm-hmm. Detroit hasn't had one. They haven't had any type of balance whatsoever. This offense has been one-dimensional. And I think what Detroit has figured out, you can clearly lose a lot of games being one-dimensional. I don't care how dynamic your perimeter player is or your quarterback may be. That is the thing that has lacked with them. And I think that is a must. I think they see that. For them to go out and get the people that they've gotten to solidify that, as long as they utilize it. It's one thing to get a guy or get people. You get Reggie Bush, but if you can't utilize them, they don't create that balance, then it doesn't matter. But if they do, with what they have on defense, with what they have defensively, or their defensive line, their ability to get pressure on the quarterback with just their down four, this team may get right back into that hunt where they were a couple of years ago. But they have to have that balance. Reggie Bush has to be able to complement Stafford in order for them to be complete as an offense.
All right, having said all that, I need a division winner.
Bump up, discount, double check, Green Bay.
Really?
Herm's going out on a limb.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go with the triple check.
Oh, you're going to go with the Bears?
Wow.
The one thing I do get a little caution with the Bears is, always new learning. I mean, new offenses, new systems.
There's a lot of new in Chicago.
You know, that does concern me. However, their offensive line has been rectified.
Yeah,
if it is there. I like to triple check Chicago.
He's going triple check.
The Bears.
You can see more of us every weekday at 4 o'clock Eastern, ESPN.